Grandma, you should probably wait out here. It's kind of embarrassing when you talk so much. My own grandson said that to me while I was carrying 3 overstuffed bags from the Kroger in a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. Today, I'm going to tell you something I never thought I would. And if you, for just 1 second, feel like this sounds familiar, I just ask that you leave a like and subscribe. It'll help me continue to get this off my chest. My name is Irene Miller. I'm 67 years old. And for the last 15 years, I have been the silent provider for a family that learned to see me as a walking ATM with shaky legs and wrinkled hands. That Tuesday in July, the heat beat down like a whip on the cracked sidewalks of our quiet street. I had arrived at the supermarket at 9 in the morning, as always, with my list written on the back of a used envelope, and my worn-out wallet where I kept the debit card that feeds everyone but me. The aisles of Kroger smelled of industrial cleaner and ripe fruit. As I pushed the squeaky-wheeled cart, my mind automatically calculated milk for the grandkids, deli ham for Lucy, my daughter, beer for Ethan, her husband, diapers for my younger son's baby, everything but something for me. I was wearing my faded blue blouse, the same one I've worn for 3 years because who sees me anyway, and my orthopedic shoes that creak with every step. My gray hair was pulled back in a simple bun, unstyled, because it's been a long time since I stopped caring about myself. When I got to the checkout, there they were. Lucy chatting on the phone with her friends about their upcoming trip to Florida, and Ethan scrolling through his latest model smartphone. Neither of them offered to help me put the groceries on the belt. "Mom, did you get everything?" Ethan asked without looking up, as if it were the most natural thing in the world for me to cover a $250 bill while they didn't even pretend to look for their wallets. "Yes, honey. It's all paid for," I replied, like always. Like a fool. That's when my 14-year-old grandson, Jake, came over with that look of annoyance we all know. His shiny Air Jordans, which I bought him for his good grades, tapped impatiently on the floor as he watched me struggle with the heavy bags. "Grandma, why don't you wait out here while we grab a few more things? It's just, when you talk to the ladies at the store, it's kind of embarrassing, you know? You talk really loud and tell these stories nobody understands." The words pierced me like rusty knives. It wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. That mix of disdain and pity, as if I were an old pet that was no longer a joy, but a problem. Lucy didn't even defend me. She just nodded while reapplying the lipstick I'd bought her last week. "Yeah, Mom, it's better if you rest for a minute. We'll be quick." I stood there, with my 67 years weighing on me, holding bags that were heavier than my wounded dignity, watching my family walk away toward the electronics section without a single glance back. I shuffled out of the supermarket. Outside, the Ohio sun felt like molten lead on my uncovered head. I sat on a metal bench that burned through my skirt, surrounded by grocery bags and a loneliness that ate at my insides. An older woman I recognized from church walked by. "Are you all right, dear? You look worn out." "I'm waiting for my family," I lied, because the truth hurt too much to say out loud. 40 minutes passed. 40 minutes under a sun that seemed to have a personal grudge against me. Watching happy families walk by, couples holding hands, children running toward their grandmothers with genuine smiles. I was still there, alone, forgotten, with the bags of melting groceries at my feet and my heart breaking inside my chest. When they finally returned, they were laughing, carrying bags from expensive stores. Lucy had a new perfume, Ethan a pair of designer sunglasses, and Jake some wireless headphones. "Okay, Mom, ready to go?" Lucy said, as if I'd been on a relaxing vacation on that hellish bench. They didn't help me up. They didn't carry a single bag to the car. They watched me walk slowly, stumble over my own tired feet, and all they did was sigh with impatience. On the way home, they chattered about their new purchases. No one asked how I felt. No one noticed my eyes were red. No one realized that something inside of me had broken forever. That night, alone in my bedroom that smells of VapoRub and solitude, I sat in front of the mirror, and for the first time in years, I asked myself, when did I stop mattering? The answer came like a painful echo. The day I allowed them to treat me as if I were worthless. But something else came that night. A revelation that would change everything. I couldn't sleep. I sat in my kitchen until 4 in the morning, stirring a cup of chamomile tea that had long gone cold, remembering everything I had done for this family that now treated me like an inconvenience. Do you know what hurts the most? It's not being ignored. It's remembering all the times you were someone's salvation, and now that same someone acts as if it never happened. Lucy was 23 when she showed up at my house in tears, pregnant and jobless. Her boyfriend at the time had dumped her the day she told him she was expecting. I welcomed her with open arms, told her everything would be okay, that the women of the Miller family are strong. During her 9 months of pregnancy, I worked double shifts cleaning offices downtown to pay for her private doctor's appointments because the public clinic wasn't good enough for my daughter. I remember my knees swelling after scrubbing marble floors for 12 hours, but I'd come home and cook her nutritious dinners, buy her expensive vitamins, and arrange pillows so she could sleep comfortably. When Jake was born, I was the one who stayed up all night with him. Lucy said she was too tired, too stressed, that she needed to rest to recover emotionally. I changed diapers, made bottles, walked him around at dawn when he cried from colic. My 42-year-old arms held that baby as if he were my own. I worked during the day, cared for the baby at night, and on weekends, I took Lucy to the hair salon because a young mother needs to feel pretty so she doesn't get depressed. And you know what she told me 2 months ago when I brought this up? "Oh, Mom, you exaggerate everything. Besides, that was years ago. Why do you always have to throw the past in our faces?" Throwing it in their faces, as if remembering their ingratitude were a greater sin than being ungrateful. But it wasn't just Lucy. Robert, my younger son, married Sandra at 28, a girl from a wealthy family who, from day one, made me feel like I wasn't up to her standards. At the wedding, which cost over $20,000 that I paid for in full, Sandra complained because the local band I hired wasn't the kind you'd see at a wedding in the Hamptons. "It's just Irene," she said with that fake smile that still makes me sick to my stomach. "We wanted something more elegant, more on our level, her level, built with my money." When they decided to buy a house, you guessed it, I was the one who put down the deposit. $15,000 that I took from my savings account, the one I had filled penny by penny over 15 years working at the textile factory, breathing in cotton dust that hurt my lungs, and sewing until my fingers swelled. "We'll pay you back, Mom," Robert promised as he signed the papers. "As soon as I get promoted at work, I'll give it all back with interest." That was 8 years ago. I haven't seen a single dollar. And when I mention it, Robert tells me he's already paying me back by driving me to the grocery store on Tuesdays and visiting on Sundays. Visiting me, as if it's a favor he's doing for me, not a son's duty. Sandra had 2 difficult pregnancies. Who do you think hired and paid for the best private nurses? Who stayed at the hospital through the long nights when the babies were born? Who bought the cribs, the strollers, the clothes, the diapers? Me. Always me. But now, when my grandchildren see me, they give me a perfunctory kiss on the cheek and then run to ask their parents if they bought the new video game or if they can order pizza for dinner. They never ask how I am. They never sit down to talk with me. To them, I'm the old lady who shows up at family gatherings and gives them money on their birthdays. Even Ethan, who came into our lives when Lucy was 30, quickly learned that I was the one who paid for everything. He lost his job during their first year of marriage. "It's temporary, Irene," he'd say while I covered their apartment rent, utilities, and his car's gas. Temporary lasted a full year. 12 months in which I worked like crazy to support 2 households while he had the luxury of being selective with job offers. "I don't want to take just anything," he'd explain while watching TV in my living room, eating the casserole I made for him. "I have to think about my career path, my future." His future, built on my tired back. When he finally got a job, do you think he thanked me? Do you think he paid back even a fraction of what I'd spent on him? No. He told me it had been an investment in the family's stability and that I should be proud to have helped solidify my daughter's marriage. Helped. As if it had been optional, as if I'd had a choice. The truth is, I never did. Since I was widowed 16 years ago, I became the automatic solution to all family problems. Robert needs money for his business that failed in 6 months. Mom pays. Lucy wants to go on vacation to Cancun but doesn't have the budget. Mom pays. The grandkids want their birthday party at the most expensive venue in town. Mom pays. And when it wasn't money, it was time. It was labor. It was sleepless nights. It was sacrificing my Saturdays to babysit while their parents went out clubbing. It was canceling my plans, the few I had, to take someone to the doctor, to carry grocery bags, to listen to complaints about problems I had already solved dozens of times. That pre-dawn morning, sitting in my kitchen with the cold tea in my hands, I did something I hadn't done in years. I added it all up. Mentally, of course, because the exact numbers were in a notebook I kept locked away, but I had a general idea. Robert's house, $15,000 for the down payment, plus the mortgage payments I covered while he was looking for work. Weddings, baptisms, graduations, easily another $20,000 in total. Medical emergencies, car trouble, home repairs, Christmas and birthday gifts, another $10,000. Everyday expenses I always ended up covering because I forgot to bring cash, or I'm a little tight this month. Impossible to calculate, but surely tens of thousands more. And that's not counting the hours of my life, the lost Sundays, the sleepless nights, the backaches from carrying bags and grandchildren, the dignity that wore away, little by little, like the color of my faded blue blouse. As I did this mental accounting, I remembered something my good friend Carol told me before she passed. Irene, you're supposed to give children roots and wings. You gave them roots so deep they became parasites, and wings so big they flew away without looking back. She was right. I had conditioned them so well to see me as their solution that they no longer even pretended to be grateful. It was normal for Mom to pay. It was obvious that Mom would carry the load. It was natural for Mom to sacrifice. But for the first time in 16 years, as I watched the sunrise through my kitchen window, I asked myself something different. What if I didn't want to be their solution anymore? The question scared me so much that I spilled the cold tea on the scraped wooden table I had inherited from my own mother. The next few days were like walking on broken glass. Every interaction with my family became a new wound opening in my already bruised chest. On Thursday, Lucy showed up at my house unannounced, as she always does. She walked in with the confidence of someone who knows they'll be welcomed no matter what. "Mom, I need to borrow your car. Mine's in the shop and I have a hair appointment." She didn't ask if I had plans. She didn't ask if I needed the car. She just assumed my life could be put on pause to accommodate hers. "What time do you need it?" I asked, knowing I would have to cancel my cardiologist appointment, the one I had waited 3 months for. "Like, now. My appointment is in an hour and a half." She handed me her car keys as if it were a fair trade, her broken car for my working one. When I mentioned I had a doctor's appointment, she looked at me with annoyance. "Oh, Mom, seriously? Can't you reschedule? I've already got everything booked at the salon. Besides, you can go to the doctor any day, but my colorist only works on Thursdays." Her colorist. Her hair. More important than my aging heart. Friday was worse. Sandra called me in tears because the baby had a fever and she didn't know what to do. I left my lunch on the stove, took a $20 cab I hadn't budgeted for, and arrived at her house a bundle of nerves. The baby had a temperature of 99°, barely anything. He was teething, but Sandra was hysterical, shouting at Robert that she couldn't handle the stress and needed someone to take charge of the situation. I took charge. As always, I stayed all afternoon and all night, rocking the baby, singing him the same lullabies I had sung to my own children 30 years ago. Sandra went to bed at 8 p.m. because she had a stress headache. At 5 in the morning, when the baby was perfectly fine and sleeping peacefully, Robert woke me by tapping my shoulder. "Mom, you can go now. Sandra's feeling better, and we can handle it from here." He kicked me out of his house at 5 in the morning, after I had spent the entire night awake caring for his child, without offering me breakfast, without asking how I would get home, without even a thank you. I had to walk 6 blocks to the main road to catch the first city bus. It was 5:30 a.m., it was chilly, and I was wearing the same clothes I'd arrived in the previous afternoon. On the bus, an elderly woman looked at me with pity. "Are you all right, ma'am? You look so tired." "Yes," I lied, because the truth was too humiliating. Just coming home from taking care of my sick grandson. It's so good to have a family that appreciates you, she said with a smile. Not all children value their mothers like they should. If only you knew, I thought. If only you knew my family values me exactly like a free 24/7 maid who never complains. But what really broke me was what happened the following Sunday. The day that was supposed to be family day, when they all came to my house for dinner and we pretended to be a happy family. They arrived late, as usual. I had been cooking since 8 in the morning, a big pot of chili with all the fixings, perfectly toasted cornbread, and a cheesecake I'd made from scratch the day before. The table was set with my good china, the plates I only use for special occasions because I'm afraid they'll break. Lucy walked in still on her phone and didn't even say hello. She sat at the table, phone glued to her ear, laughing at something her friend Monica was saying. Robert arrived in a bad mood because he'd argued with Sandra, and he sat in front of the TV instead of helping me serve the food. The grandkids burst in like a hurricane, went straight to the fridge for sodas, and sat at the table without washing their hands or saying, "Hi, Grandma." During the meal, no one spoke to me. Lucy was still on her call. Robert was watching the game on his phone. The grandkids were talking amongst themselves about video games I didn't understand. I ate in silence, listening to Lucy laugh with her friend about her upcoming trip to Florida, watching Robert yell "touchdown" at his phone, hearing the grandkids complain that the chili was too spicy, and ask for money to order a pizza instead. No one asked how my week had been. No one noticed the dark circles under my eyes from staying up all night with Sandra's baby. No one thanked me for the meal I had prepared with so much love. When they finished eating, they got up and went to the living room, leaving me alone with all the dirty dishes, all the pots to scrub, the whole kitchen to clean. I was standing at the sink, my hands in soapy water, when I heard the conversation that would change my life forever. "Have you noticed how tense Mom has been lately?" Lucy said to Robert in a low voice, but not low enough. "Yeah, she's been really weird, kind of angry. I don't know what's wrong with her. I think she's starting to get senile. Yesterday she made this huge drama because I asked to borrow the car, like it was such a big deal. I know, right? And she brought up the down payment for the house again, like it's even her money anymore. What does she need it for anyway at her age?" "Exactly. Besides, we take care of her. We visit her, we take her to the store. It's not like we've abandoned her." "You think it's her age?" "My mother-in-law says old ladies get like that sometimes. Kind of resentful. Could be. Or maybe she's just jealous that we have our own lives and she doesn't anymore." They laughed. Both of them laughed at me. My hands trembled so much that a plate slipped from my grasp and shattered in the sink. The sound of the breaking china was like an echo of my heart shattering into pieces. "What was that, Mom?" Lucy shouted from the living room, with that annoyed tone she used whenever I interrupted something important. "Nothing, dear." A plate just slipped. "Oh, Mom, be more careful. Those plates are expensive. Those plates that I bought. With my money. To host them." I finished washing the dishes with tears falling into the soapy water. Each clean plate was more proof that I was invisible in my own home, a free employee working for people who saw me as a burden. When they left, they didn't say goodbye. They just yelled, "We're leaving, Mom," from the front door and left, leaving me alone in a house that smelled of chili and loneliness. That night, while sweeping crumbs from my dining room floor, I found something that had fallen from Robert's pocket. It was a bank envelope. I opened it without thinking, moved by a curiosity I had never felt before. It was a bank statement. Robert had $5,300 in his savings account. $5,300. More cash on hand than I had for my own personal expenses. More money than I had seen in one place for myself in years. And still, he kept telling me he couldn't pay back the $15,000 for his down payment because he was a little tight. I sat in my kitchen chair, the statement trembling in my hands, and for the first time in my life, I felt something other than sadness. I felt rage. A clean, clear rage that burned in my chest like scalding coffee. How many more times would they lie to me? How many more times would I let them treat me like I was a fool? I got up, went to my bedroom, and pulled out the notebook from under my mattress where I had been recording everything I had given them over the years. Page after page of numbers, dates, descriptions, an accounting of my own humiliation. And at the end of the notebook, I wrote something new. Sunday, July 23rd. Discovered Robert has $5,300 in savings and still tells me he can't pay me back. They called me senile and resentful for wanting respect. No more. I closed the notebook and put it in my nightstand drawer. For the first time in years, I knew exactly what I was going to do. On Monday morning, I made the hardest decision of my life. I called the bank where I've had my account for 20 years and asked for an appointment with the manager. My voice trembled when I said the words I never thought I would utter. I want to cancel all the additional cards on my account. Mr. Davis, the manager, knew me well. He had seen years of constant withdrawals, of transfers I made to my children, of small loans I took out to cover family emergencies. Are you sure, Mrs. Miller? These are cards that have been active for many years. Very sure, I replied. And for the first time in a long time, my voice sounded firm. I also canceled the automatic transfers I had scheduled to pay for Robert's weekly gas and Lucy's gym membership. I changed my online banking passwords and requested that any transaction over $100 require my in-person authorization. May I ask the reason for this? Mr. Davis asked with genuine concern. My family forgot that I'm a person too, I told him, and I forgot to value myself. I left the bank feeling strange, as if I'd done something wrong, but at the same time, something necessary. It was the first time in decades I had made a decision without consulting anyone, without thinking about how it would affect others. The first call came 2 days later. It was Wednesday morning, and I was watering my plants on the patio when the phone rang. Mom, what's wrong with my card? I went to pay at the restaurant and it was declined. It was Lucy, her voice thick with panic and embarrassment. I could picture her standing there in front of her friends, her face red with shame. I canceled the additional cards, I said simply, continuing to water my geraniums. What? Why? Are you crazy? No, honey. I'm sane for the first time in years. But I have expenses. I have commitments. How could you do this without telling me? How could you call me senile and resentful without telling me? There was a silence so long I thought the call had dropped. How did you know about that? I have ears, Lucy. And even though you all think I'm losing it, my mind works perfectly fine. Mom, we didn't mean, it's just that you've been so what? So tired of being treated like a maid? So sick of being seen as a walking ATM? That's not it. Then what is it? Another long pause. Mom, I need that card. I have to use it today. Use your own. It's maxed out. That's why I use yours. Then figure it out. Like every other adult in the world. And I hung up. For the first time in my life, I hung up on my daughter. I sat on my patio chair, shaking like a leaf. My heart was racing and my hands were sweaty. I had been rude. I had been a bad mother. I had been honest. The second call came an hour later. Robert, furious. Mom, what the hell did you do with the accounts? The transfer for my gas money didn't come through. It's not coming anymore. What do you mean? I need that gas to get to work. Then pay for it with your own salary, with that $5,300 you have saved up. Absolute silence. I had him. How do you know about that account? Your statement fell out of your pocket on Sunday. You know what? I'm glad you have savings, son. It means you can start paying me back the $15,000 you owe me. Mom, that money is for emergencies. And the $15,000 I gave you wasn't for an emergency? Or is my money not worth the same as yours? It's different. You're my mom. Exactly. I'm your mother, not your bank. I hung up again. My hands weren't shaking as much. By Friday, all 4 of them had called. Robert, Lucy, Sandra, and even Ethan. All with the same panicked tone, all with the same question. What was wrong with me? Sandra was the most dramatic. She cried on the phone as if someone had died. Irene, I don't understand why you're doing this. We love you so much. You know you're such an important part of our family. Really? Is that why you kick me out of your house at 5 in the morning after I've cared for your child all night? But you said you wanted to leave early. Sandra, never in my life have I said I want to leave anywhere at 5 in the morning. Well, but, Irene, we need your help. The kids need things. We have expenses. And I have expenses too, and needs, and exhaustion. But you can handle anything. You're so strong. You know what, Sandra? I don't want to be so strong anymore. I'm tired. On Saturday, they all showed up at my house. Unannounced as usual. But this time they had long faces and funereal attitudes. They sat in my living room like a tribunal, looking at me as if I were a criminal. "Mom?" Robert began in a therapist's voice. "We're worried about you." "Really? Since when?" "We've always been worried," Lucy lied. "That's why we visit so often. You visit because I cook for you, give you money, and watch your kids. Don't confuse convenience with concern." "That's not true," Sandra protested. "We love you." "You love me? Really?" I stood up from my chair and looked at each of them. "Do you know the last time any of you asked me how I am? Not to ask for something, but genuinely asked how I am?" Silence. "Do you know the last time one of you brought me something instead of coming to take something?" More silence. "Do you know if I go to the doctor? If I'm in pain? If I feel lonely?" All four of them looked at the floor. "Mom," Lucy mumbled, "we didn't know you felt this way." "Of course you didn't know, because you never ask. You just assume I'll be fine, that I'll always be here, that I'll always say yes." "But Mom," Robert intervened, "you never say no. You're always available, and that gives you the right to take advantage of me?" "We don't take advantage," Ethan finally shouted. "We help you. We take you to the store." I laughed, a bitter laugh that came from my soul. "You help me? You help me by driving me to the store so I can pay for everything? You help me by leaving me standing in the sun for 40 minutes holding bags while you go shopping with my money?" "It's just that," Lucy began. "It's just nothing. For the first time in my life, I raised my voice at my children. Between the two of you, you're nearly 80 years old and you still expect your mother to solve your lives for you." My whole body was trembling, but I kept going. "Well, not anymore. It's over. Get better jobs, manage your money better, raise your own children. Because I have officially retired from being the mom who fixes everything." Robert stood up, red with anger. "And what if we need something? What are we supposed to do? What everyone else in the world does. Figure it out for yourselves." "But we're your family," Lucy whispered, tears in her eyes. "Yes, Lucy, you are my family. But I am family too, and you forgot how to treat me like it." That's when something beautiful happened. My youngest granddaughter, Chloe, who was 8 and had been quiet in a corner, came over to me and hugged my legs. "Grandma, are you sad?" I knelt down to her level and stroked her hair. "A little bit, sweetie, but it's going to be okay. Can I draw you a picture to make you feel better?" For the first time in weeks, I smiled a real smile. "I would love that, princess." Chloe took her crayons out of her backpack and started drawing on the floor. Meanwhile, the adults continued to argue, to complain, trying to make me feel guilty. But I wasn't listening to them anymore. I was watching Chloe draw a little house with a smiling lady in the garden. "Who's that?" I asked her. "It's you, Grandma." But happy. And right there, in that moment, I knew I was making the right decision. After they left that Saturday, the house settled into a different kind of silence. It wasn't the heavy silence of loneliness I was used to. It was a clean silence, like after a thunderstorm. For the first time in years, my Sunday had no to-do list for other people. I didn't have to wake up early to cook for 8. I didn't have to set the table with my good china for people who didn't even see me. I didn't have to wash mountains of dishes after they left. I woke up at 9 o'clock, because my body decided to, not because someone needed something from me. I made myself coffee the way I like it, strong, with a dash of cinnamon, in my favorite mug. That little ceramic mug I had saved for special occasions that never came. I took it out of the cabinet where it had been waiting for years and decided that this Sunday was special enough. I sat on my back patio, in the wicker chair my husband had given me 20 years ago. It had been covered in dust because I never had time to sit there. There was always something to do, someone to tend to, some emergency to solve. But that Sunday, I heard the birds singing in the maple tree. I watched the sunlight make the leaves of my plants glow. I felt the cool morning breeze on my face. When was the last time I had noticed something like that? When was the last time my mind wasn't busy calculating expenses, planning meals, or worrying about other people's problems. I couldn't remember. And that filled me with a deep sadness, but also a new determination. On Monday, I went to the bank again, this time not to cancel something, but to check on something I had tucked away for years: my retirement account. When my husband died, he had left a life insurance policy. With that money, plus what we had saved together, I had a sum that had been growing untouched because I always said, "It's for emergencies." Mr. Davis showed me the numbers on his computer screen. My eyes widened. "Are you sure about this amount?" I asked him. "Absolutely sure, Mrs. Miller. With compound interest and the investment we made 10 years ago, your account has grown considerably. I had enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my days without asking anyone for anything. Enough to travel if I wanted. Enough to fix up my house. Enough to not have to count every dollar I spent at the grocery store. And here I was, living like a pauper, denying myself basic things, so I could give money to children who had more disposable income than I did. Mr. Davis, I'd like to open a new account, just in my name, and I want to transfer a portion of these savings into it for personal expenses. How much would you like to transfer? $5,000 to start?" It was more money than I'd had available for myself in years. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in decades. I went shopping for myself, alone, with no rush, without having to ask for permission or explain myself to anyone. I went to Macy's, that department store I always went to with my kids, but where I never bought anything for myself because it's too expensive. And what do I need new clothes for anyway? I bought myself 3 beautiful blouses: a navy blue one with shell buttons that made me look elegant, a bright pink one that lit up my face, a white cotton one that fit perfectly and made me feel fresh. I also bought comfortable but pretty shoes. Shoes that weren't ugly orthopedic ones, but soft leather flats that made me feel feminine again. And a perfume I smelled at the counter that reminded me of the jasmine from my youth. The saleswoman, a very kind young lady, "Let me try it. It suits you perfectly, ma'am. It brings out your personality." My personality? It had been so long since anyone had mentioned I had a personality of my own. I spent $400 in total. $400 that, in the past, I would have considered a waste, a frivolous expense, money that could be used for something more important. But as I walked through the mall with my bags, I realized something. I was important too. That night, I wore one of my new blouses to dinner. I ate alone, but I set a nice place for myself, took out my good china, and lit a candle I had saved from a past Christmas. I made myself a perfect grilled cheese with tomato soup, the kind I love but my family doesn't because it's kid food. I put on my favorite music, those Frank Sinatra and Dolly Parton songs I always had to turn off when my kids came over because that music is so old. And I cried. I cried a lot, but not from sadness. I cried from relief. For the first time in years, I was the one deciding what to eat, what music to listen to, how to dress, what to spend my money on. On Tuesday morning, the phone rang. It was Lucy, her voice softer than the week before. "Mom, how are you?" "I'm well, honey. Very well. Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you really not going to help us with anything anymore?" The question hurt, but not for the reasons she expected. It hurt because it confirmed that her concern wasn't for me, but for what I could give her. "Lucy, do you help me with anything?" "What do you mean? With anything at all? Do you help me clean my house? Do you come with me to the doctor? Do you bring me food when I'm sick? Do you give me money when I run out?" Silence. "It's different, Mom. You're the mom." "Exactly. I'm your mother, not your employee. And mothers need to be taken care of too. But we do take care of you." "Really? When was the last time?" More silence. "Look, honey, it's not that I'll never help you again. It's that I'm no longer going to be the automatic solution to all your problems. You're going to have to ask me nicely, and I will decide if I can and want to help. And what if it's a real emergency? If it's a real, genuine emergency, not a I want something and don't have the money emergency, then yes, I will help. But you're going to have to prove to me that you really need me, not just my money." On Wednesday, while I was watering my plants, I had an unexpected visitor. It was my neighbor Carol, with whom I'd only ever exchanged polite greetings. Good morning, Irene. May I come in? Of course, Carol. Would you like some coffee? We sat in my kitchen and Carol looked at me with curiosity. Forgive me for being nosy, but is everything all right? I've seen your family coming and going a lot lately, and I heard raised voices on Saturday. I blushed. The neighbors had heard the argument. I'm learning to set boundaries, I told her honestly. Carol smiled. Oh, that's wonderful. It's about time. I've watched you for years, running around, always carrying things, always in a hurry. My husband always used to say that Irene works harder than an ant, but always for other people. Was it really that noticeable? Of course. We'd see you coming home from the bank looking stressed after running errands that were clearly not for you. We'd see you carrying the grandkids when their parents didn't even get out of the car. We'd see you haul in huge loads of groceries and then cook for an army. I sat in silence, processing that my situation had been so obvious to strangers. Can I ask you something, Carol? Of course. What would you do if you were me? Look, Irene, I'm 72. I've seen a lot of families, a lot of situations, and what I've learned is that if you don't value yourself, nobody else will. She was right. Your kids are used to you being their life raft. But life rafts get tired too. They sink if they carry too much weight. That night, I went to bed early, between clean sheets that smelled of the fabric softener I liked. For the first time in months, my back didn't ache because I hadn't been carrying heavy bags. My feet didn't hurt because I hadn't been standing and cooking all day. My head didn't throb because I hadn't had to listen to complaints or solve problems. And for the first time in years, I slept a full 8 hours. I woke up rested, unhurried, feeling like the day belonged to me. A week after my awakening, I decided it was time to put all the cards on the table. I called them all and told them to come over on Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. This time, I wasn't going to cook for them. This time, we were going to talk like adults. I bought a tray of tacos from a local place I liked, some sodas, and nothing more. If they wanted a feast, they could pay for it. They arrived on time, which surprised me. I guess curiosity was stronger than their usual disregard for my time. Robert walked in first, looking at the table with confusion. Mom, you didn't cook? Nope. Today we're having tacos from the place on Main Street. Sandra wrinkled her nose. From a food truck? Ugh, Irene, those are so greasy. They always upset my stomach. Then don't eat them, I replied, unfazed. No one is forcing you. Lucy sat down looking annoyed. Mom, why did you call us here? We have things to do. Everyone sit down, I said, with a voice even I didn't recognize. We need to talk. Once they were all seated, I went to my bedroom and got a shoebox I had stored in the closet. I placed it on the dining room table, in front of everyone. Do you know what's in here? I asked. No, Robert mumbled. I opened the box. It was filled with receipts, bank slips, statements, and notes I had written over the years. The evidence of everything I had given them. This is the proof of 15 years of my life that I gave away to you. I started pulling out papers one by one. Robert, $15,000 for the down payment on your house. Here's the bank slip. I placed the paper in front of him. His face went pale. Lucy, a total of about $6,000 between the wedding, the baby shower, the apartment furniture, Jake's crib, and the 3 loans you asked for emergencies that turned out to be whims. Sandra shifted uncomfortably in her chair. Ethan, $2,000 for the months you were unemployed, plus another $1,000 for your car repair. But Irene, I'm not finished. I cut him off. Sandra, $1,500 in private doctors for your pregnancies, plus another $800 for the nurses I hired to help you at home. I kept pulling out papers. Weekly grocery bills for all of you. Approximately $250 a week for 5 years. That's $65,000. The numbers began to echo in the silence. Gas money for Robert, $150 a month for 4 years, $7,200. Gym membership for Lucy, $60 a month for 3 years, over $2,000. Grandkids' school tuition, uniforms, school supplies, birthday gifts, Christmases, vacations that I paid for. I went on until the table was covered in proof. In total, I said, looking at their shocked faces, in the last 15 years, I have given you over $120,000. $120,000. Robert stood up. Mom, we didn't ask you to keep track. Of course you didn't, I exploded. Because you assumed I was your personal bank. Because it never occurred to you that I have needs, that I have dreams, that I also deserve respect. But Mom, Lucy interjected, tears in her eyes. We love you. It's not that we don't value you. You love me? Really? I stood up and went to get something else from my bedroom. It was an old notebook. This is my medical journal, I told them. I wrote down every time I went to the doctor alone, every time I was sick, every time I needed help. I opened the notebook to a marked page. March of last year, bronchitis that lasted 3 weeks. I went to urgent care alone one night because I couldn't breathe. None of you found out until a week later. Mom, why didn't you call us? Robert asked. Because you only call me when you need something. Why would I bother you with my problems? I turned the page. May? I fell in the bathroom and hurt my hip. I was limping for 3 days before I went to the doctor. You all came for dinner that Sunday and no one noticed I was walking funny. Sandra wiped away a tear. Irene, we didn't know. Exactly. You didn't know because you don't ask. You don't look. You just take. I opened the notebook to another page. Here I noted every one of my birthdays for the last 10 years. Do you know how many times you celebrated me? How many times someone organized even a simple cake for me? Total silence. Twice in 10 years. And both times it was because I suggested we could take advantage of a grandchild's birthday party to celebrate mine at the same time. Lucy was crying openly now. Mom, we didn't realize. You didn't realize because it's convenient not to realize. It's easier to have a mom who always says yes, who always fixes things, who never complains. I walked to the fridge and took out something else. A bottle of champagne I had bought that morning. Do you know why I bought this? They shook their heads. To toast to my freedom. I opened the bottle right there, in front of them. The pop of the cork made them jump. From this day on, I decide who I share my time, my money, and my love with, and you will have to earn it by behaving like the family you claim to be. I poured myself a glass and raised it. Here's to the fact that for the first time in 15 years, I am going to live for myself. Robert stood up, agitated. And what about us? Are we not your children anymore? Of course you're my children, but being a child isn't a free pass to abuse your mother. We don't abuse you. No? I grabbed one of the slips. Robert, this $3,000 loan you asked for 2 years ago for your business. Have you paid it back? That business failed, Mom. It wasn't my fault. But did you pay me back or not? No. But, Lucy, the money I gave you for the gym, was it for the gym or for other things? Lucy looked at the floor. Sometimes I used it for other things. Did you lie to me? I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you the whole truth. I laughed, but not with joy. You see? Even when admitting you've deceived me, you have to deceive me. Ethan, who had been quiet, finally spoke. Irene, what do you want us to do? Pay you everything back? I don't want you to pay me back, Ethan. I want you to respect me. I want you to treat me like a person, not a resource. I want you to visit me because you want to be with me, not because you need something from me. Sandra dried her eyes. And how can we do that? Start by asking me how I am and actually listening to the answer. Bring me flowers sometime instead of problems. Invite me out to eat instead of coming here for me to cook. Call me just to say hello, without asking for anything. But we do that. Lucy started. When was the last time? They couldn't answer. I finished my glass of champagne in one gulp. You have 1 week to decide if you want a real relationship with me, or if you'd rather keep looking for another mother to solve your lives for you, because I have retired from that job. I put all the papers back in the box and closed it. The tacos are there if you're hungry. I'm going to my room to rest. As I walked to my room, I heard their confused voices, arguing among themselves in low tones. For the first time in years, their problems were not mine to solve. I lay down on my bed, closed my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The next 4 days were the quietest I had lived in years. Not a single call asking for money, no unexpected visits, no emergencies for me to solve. It was as if I had erected an invisible shield around my house and my life. But on Thursday morning, as I was peacefully having my coffee and reading the paper, the phone rang. It was my friend Carol, my neighbor. Irene, have you seen your Facebook? No, Carol. I barely know I have one. It was true. Robert had set up an account for me years ago, but I never used it. You need to look. Right now. Why? What happened? Just get on your computer and log in. I'll wait. Boss, with my heart starting to race, I went to my desk and turned on the old computer that was collecting dust. It took me 10 minutes to remember how to even get into Facebook. When I finally logged in, what I saw took my breath away. Lucy had posted a picture of me. One of those candid shots taken when you're not ready, not looking your best. I was sitting in my kitchen looking tired, my hair a mess, wearing my old housecoat. The photo was accompanied by a caption that read, "With a broken heart, I'm asking for your prayers for my mom. Unfortunately, she is going through a very difficult time with her mental health. She has started having episodes of paranoia and aggression that have our family very worried. Yesterday, she threw us out of her house, screaming and accusing us of terrible things we have never done. The doctor says this is common for people her age, but it hurts so much to see the woman we love so much get lost in her own mind. Please be patient if you see her behaving strangely in public. We will continue to care for her with all our love, no matter what. Family first. Love our elders." Below the post were over 50 comments from people I knew from the neighborhood, from church, distant relatives, all of them expressing pity for my mental illness and congratulating Lucy on being so patient and loving with her poor, sick mother. So sad, Lucy. Your mom was always so sweet. Stay strong, cousin. These illnesses are so hard on the family. God bless your patience. Not all children are as good as you are. My grandmother went through the same thing. It's so difficult, but you have to have compassion. I sat there in front of the screen, trembling with rage and humiliation. My own daughter had invented a story that I was crazy so that people would feel sorry for her and see her as a saint burdened with a problematic mother. I dialed her number, my hands shaking. "Hello?" She answered sweetly, as if nothing was wrong. "Lucy, take that Facebook post down right now." "What post, Mom?" "Don't play dumb with me. The one you wrote saying I'm crazy." "Oh, Mom, you're not crazy. I just said you're going through a difficult time. You made up that I have mental problems. You told the whole world I'm paranoid." "Well, Mom, you acted very strange on Sunday. We all noticed it. You yelled. You accused us of things. I accused you of the truth. With proof. With receipts. But, Mom, talking about money like that, pulling out papers, counting everything, that's not normal. A normal mother doesn't do that to her children." A normal mother? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Does a normal mother let her family treat her like a maid? Nobody treats you like a maid, Mom. You treat yourself that way because you can't accept that you're getting older and sometimes you get confused. The manipulation was so perfect, so calculated, that for a split second, I doubted my own sanity. What if I really was crazy? What if everything I had pieced together was just my imagination? But then I remembered the bank slips, the receipts, the exact numbers. Those weren't figments of my imagination. "Lucy, take down that post, or I'll post one of my own with every single receipt for everything I've ever given you." "See, Mom? You're threatening me again? You see how you get aggressive for no reason?" I hung up and immediately called Robert. "Have you seen Facebook?" "Yeah, Mom. And honestly, we are worried about you. You think I'm crazy too?" "Not crazy, crazy. But we do think you need help. You said some very hurtful, out-of-line things on Sunday." "Out of line to tell the truth? Mom, bringing out all those papers, doing that accounting, talking about money like that? You just don't do that. A mother doesn't charge her children for helping them. A mother also shouldn't be treated like an ATM by her children. But we don't treat you like that. Lucy is right. Sometimes you get confused and believe things that aren't real." It was unbelievable. They had both decided that the easiest way to deal with their guilt was to convince everyone, including me, that I was the one who was insane. That afternoon, I drove directly to Robert's house. Sandra opened the door with a look of feigned pity. "Irene, how are you? Do you also think I'm crazy?" "No, of course not. We just think that, well, sometimes age makes us see things differently. Does age make me see bank receipts differently? Oh, Irene, nobody's talking about receipts. We're talking about how you got so upset on Sunday. I got upset because I discovered I've been lied to and used for years. But Irene, we love you. We just want to help you. Is inventing a story that I'm mentally ill helping me? Sandra looked down. That was Lucy's idea. She said it's better if people know that you're going through a difficult time, so they'll feel sorry for you, so they'll understand if you say strange things in public. In that moment, I knew this had been planned. It wasn't a spontaneous reaction to our confrontation on Sunday. It was a deliberate strategy to destroy my credibility before I could tell my side of the story. Sandra, tell Robert that I have something to show him. I walked into the house without waiting for an invitation. Robert was watching TV, but he got nervous when he saw me. Mom, what are you doing here? I took out my phone and showed him the screen. It was the screenshot I had taken of his bank statement, the one he'd dropped at my house. Is this my imagination too? His face turned red. That's private. You have no right to— I have no right? After you invented a story that I'm crazy to cover up your lies. Mom, put the phone away. Or what? Are you going to say I'm a thief in addition to being crazy? Sandra jumped into the conversation. Irene, we just want people to understand that you're going through a difficult time. It's not to hurt you. Destroying my reputation isn't hurting me. It's protecting you. So people don't think badly of you for the things you said on Sunday. The twisted logic left me speechless. They had turned my awakening into a mental illness, my honesty into insanity, my self-defense into aggression. All right, I said, putting my phone away. If you want to play dirty, we'll play dirty. What are you going to do? Robert asked, now clearly on edge. You'll see. I left their house and drove straight to the bank. I requested certified copies of all my account transactions for the last 5 years. Every transfer, every withdrawal, every deposit. Then I went to the public library and sat down at a computer. It took 2 hours, but I managed to post my own story on Facebook. I included photos of all the receipts, the bank statements, the transfers. I wrote out the entire history, the years of financial abuse, the lies, the manipulation, and finally, their attempt to paint me as mentally ill when I decided to stand up for myself. For those who are concerned about my mental health after my daughter's post, here is the proof of why I had to set boundaries. I'm not crazy. I'm fed up. And any mother in my position would be too. I ended the post with, Lucy, Robert, if you wanted a war, you've got one. But this time, you're not fighting a defenseless woman. You're fighting a woman who has finally realized her own worth. I hit post and shut down the computer. By the time I got home, I had 27 missed calls. The war had begun. The next 48 hours were a hurricane of calls, texts, and desperate visits. But this time, I was prepared. For every lie they had invented about me, I had a documented truth to destroy it. The first to arrive was Lucy, her eyes swollen from crying. She showed up at 6 a.m, banging on my door as if the house were on fire. Mom, open up. We need to talk. I let her knock for 5 minutes before I opened the door. When I did, I was perfectly put together, wearing one of my new blouses and my new perfume. Good morning, dear. Can I help you with something? Mom, take that post down. People are saying horrible things. Like the horrible things you posted about my mental health? That's different. I did it because I was worried. Worried or ashamed you got caught. The whole neighborhood knows we took money from you. It's humiliating. I laughed. A clean, liberating laugh. No, Lucy. What's humiliating is discovering your own daughter would rather pretend you're crazy than admit she treated you poorly. But Mom, now people are going to think we're bad kids. And are you not? The question left her frozen. She just stood there in my doorway, trying to find an answer that didn't exist. Take your post down, I said calmly, and I'll consider taking mine down. I already took it down. And the public apology? A public apology? For making up that I'm mentally ill, for lying to everyone who knows me, for trying to destroy my reputation. Mom, that would be admitting that you lied. Exactly. She left in tears but without offering an apology. Robert arrived 2 hours later with Sandra. This time they came with a different strategy. Threats. Mom, if you don't take that post down, we're going to have to take legal action. Legal action for telling the truth, for public defamation, for damaging our reputation. I took out my phone and hit the record button. Say that again, Robert. Tell me exactly why you're going to sue me. Turn that off. Why? Didn't you just say you were going to take legal action? Can't you repeat it? Sandra tried to grab the phone from me, but I stepped back. If you want to sue me for telling the truth, go ahead. But remember, I have all the original documents. And now I also have a recording of you threatening me for defending myself. They left without another word. But it was the afternoon visit that changed me forever. My 8-year-old granddaughter, Chloe, walked over by herself from Robert's house. She was carrying her little unicorn backpack and had a very serious look on her face. Grandma, are you fighting with my mommy and daddy? I knelt down to her level. No, sweetie. I'm just teaching them how to respect me. Because they were being mean to you? The innocence of children always sees what adults prefer to ignore. Yes, princess. Sometimes grown-ups forget to be kind to the people who love them. Like when my mommy yells at me but then says it's because she loves me. The comment pierced my heart. This little girl was already learning that love could be disguised as mistreatment. No, Chloe. Real love is kind. When someone really loves you, they treat you nicely always. She thought for a moment. Is that why you don't come for dinner on Sundays anymore? Because I decided that I deserve to be treated nicely too. Do I deserve to be treated nicely too? Of course, my love. You deserve for everyone to treat you with kindness and respect. She hugged me tightly. Can I stay with you for a little bit? Everyone at my house is mad and yelling a lot. That afternoon, we baked cookies together. Chloe helped me mix the dough while she told me about school, her friends, her dreams of being a veterinarian. She didn't ask me for money. She didn't ask me to solve any problems. She just wanted to be with me. When it was time for her to go, she looked at me with her big eyes. Grandma, are you going to stop loving me if my parents are being bad? Chloe, my love, I will always love you. You are not responsible for what the adults do. And can you teach me how to make more cookies? As many as you want, princess. She skipped back to her house, and I stood in my doorway watching her pigtails bounce with every hop. In that moment, I understood something fundamental. I didn't have to lose my whole family to get my dignity back. I just had to separate myself from those who didn't value me, so I could be present for the one who did. That night, for the first time in weeks, I didn't check Facebook. I didn't worry about missed calls. I didn't think about defense strategies or counterattacks. I sat on my patio with a glass of wine I'd bought for myself, put on some Dolly Parton, and just existed for me. The following week, I made a decision I never thought I would. I went to a travel agency downtown. I'd like to book a trip, I told the young woman who helped me. For how many people? Just for me? And where would you like to go? Somewhere a 67-year-old woman has never been, but has always wanted to go. She suggested a trip to Florida. A beachfront hotel, breakfast included, a spa, and activities for solo guests. When would you like to travel? How soon can I leave? Well, if you'd like, there's availability starting next Wednesday. Perfect. I paid for the trip with my own card, with my own money, for my own pleasure. It was $700 that, in the past, I would have considered a waste because that money could be used for something more important. But now I knew that I was the most important thing in my life. I told Chloe about my trip when she came to visit on Tuesday. You're going all by yourself, Grandma? Yes, sweetie. Sometimes it's important to be alone to remember who you are. And will you be sad? No, princess. I'm going to be happy. Can you send me pictures of the ocean? As many as you want. On Wednesday morning, as I waited for the taxi to take me to the airport, the phone rang. It was Robert. Mom, are you really going on a trip by yourself? Yes. What if something happens to you? What if you get sick? Robert, I've taken care of myself for 67 years. I think I can handle 4 days in a hotel. But Mom, it's not normal for a woman your age to be traveling alone. What's not normal is that it took a woman my age this long to finally do it. I hung up when the taxi arrived. Florida was everything I had imagined and more. The endless ocean, the salty breeze, the sunsets that painted the sky with colors I didn't know existed. But the best part wasn't the place. It was me in the place. I had breakfast overlooking the ocean without having to ask anyone what they wanted to eat. I walked along the beach at my own pace, unhurried, not having to wait for anyone or keep up with anyone. I read a whole book in 2 days because no one interrupted me every 5 minutes. At the spa, a massage therapist named Sarah asked me, "Is this your first time traveling alone?" "Yes." "And how does it feel?" "Like I've been living half a life." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've never done anything just for me. Everything I did was for someone else. And now I'm getting to know myself at 67 years old." Sarah smiled. "It's never too late to fall in love with your own life." She was right. On the last night of the trip, dining alone at a restaurant on the water, a glass of wine in my hand, and the sound of the waves as my background music, I took a selfie. Not to post on Facebook or to show anyone, just to remember that moment when I finally understood what it meant to be whole. The photo showed a woman with gray hair tousled by the breeze, no makeup, and a genuine smile that came from some deep place that had been dormant for decades. It was me, the real me. When I got back to Columbus, Chloe was waiting at my door with a new drawing. "How was your trip, Grandma?" "Perfect, Princess." "Did you bring the ocean back with you?" "No, my love. But I brought back something better." "What?" "I brought back myself." Hi, she didn't completely understand, but she hugged me as if she understood the most important part, that her grandma had come home happy. 6 months after my awakening, I'm sitting on my renovated patio, drinking coffee from my favorite ceramic mug, watching Chloe play with the dolls I bought her with my money for my granddaughter, because I wanted to. The patio no longer has the neglected flower pots from before. Now it has a new garden, comfortable furniture, and a small fountain I bought because I like the sound of running water. Every dollar I spent on myself felt wrong for the first few days, as if it were a crime to be good to myself. But now, every improvement to my home feels like an act of self-love I should have committed decades ago. Robert came to visit 2 weeks ago. Not to ask for money, he knows that won't happen, but to bring me a bouquet of daisies he'd bought at the farmer's market. "What's this?" I asked, genuinely surprised. "Well, I remembered that when I was a kid, you always said you liked daisies." It was true. I had always loved daisies. But it had been so long since anyone had given me flowers that I had forgotten to even mention it. "And to what do I owe this?" He sat down in one of my new chairs, looking uncomfortable. "Mom, I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened. And I think you were right. We didn't realize how we were treating you. Do you realize it now?" "Yes. Since you stopped coming over on Sundays, Sandra and I have to do everything ourselves. The shopping, the cooking, watching the kids. And it's exhausting. Imagine doing it for 15 years. Yeah, I get it now." He was quiet for a moment, watching Chloe play. Do you think we could try again, but differently, without you having to do everything?" "What are you proposing?" "I don't know. Maybe you come over for dinner sometimes, but we cook. Or we go out to a restaurant and we pay. We visit you, just to visit, not to ask for things." It was a start. It wasn't a full apology, but it was an acknowledgement. "Robert, you can come over whenever you want, but as a guest, not an employer. And the kids? The kids are always welcome, but you stay with them. I'm not a free babysitter." He nodded. He understood the new rules. "And the money we owe you? I wrote that money off a long time ago. I don't want it back, but you won't be getting any more either." "Never? If you ever have a real emergency, and I mean real, not a whim, we can talk. But it has to be a genuine emergency, and you have to have tried to solve it on your own first." "What would be a real emergency?" "A hospital stay, losing your job through no fault of your own, the house burning down, things like that." "What if we want to make improvements to the house?" "Those are improvements, not emergencies. Improvements are paid for with your own savings." "What if the kids need something for school?" "The kids are your responsibility, not mine. But I can help with specific things if you ask me nicely and don't assume I'll say yes." It was an adult conversation, the first one we'd had in years. It took Lucy longer to come around. 3 full months of silence before she appeared at my door one Wednesday afternoon. She came without Ethan, without the kids, alone. She looked like she'd been crying. "Mom, can we talk?" "Of course. Coffee?" Yes, please. As I made the coffee, I could hear her taking several deep breaths, like she was preparing for something difficult. Mom, I came to apologize. For what, specifically? For everything. For treating you like an employee. For assuming you'd always be there to fix everything for us. For making up that you were sick when you stood up for yourself. And why now? Because Ethan left me. There it was. She hadn't come because she'd had a true change of heart. She'd come because now she was the one who needed support. And you're here to ask me for money for the divorce? No, well, not exactly. Lucy, are you here to ask for help, or are you here to apologize? Because those are two different things. Both. At least she was honest. Let's talk about the apology first. Do you really understand why what you did hurt me so much? I think so. You think so, or you know so. She started to cry. Mom, I'm going through a really hard time. Ethan left me for another woman. I have to support Jake on my own. My job doesn't pay enough. The rent on the apartment is so high. Lucy, are you listening to yourself? What? You came here to apologize, but you haven't mentioned once how I felt. You're only talking about your problems. She fell silent. Do you know how many times in 15 years you asked me how I was feeling? No. 0. Not a single time. And now that you need something, you show up with an apology. Mom, I am sorry for how I treated you. Are you sorry or do you need help? I'm sorry and I need help. All right. Those are two separate conversations. I served her coffee and sat down across from her. First, the apology. Do you understand that you made me feel invisible for years? Yes. Do you understand that inventing a story that I was crazy was cruel? Yes, it was horrible. I don't know why I did it. And do you understand that I can't just trust you again overnight? Yes. Okay. I accept your apology. But that doesn't mean things go back to how they were. What does it mean then? It means you can try to rebuild our relationship, but it's going to take time. And the rules are different now. What rules? You treat me like a person, not a resource. You ask for things as a favor. You don't assume I'll say yes. You visit because you want to be with me, not just when you need something. And will you help me with the divorce? That's the second conversation. What kind of help do you need? The lawyer costs $2,000 that I don't have. Have you tried to get the money in other ways? I applied for a loan at the bank, but they denied me. Did you ask Ethan for help? He refuses. He said, since I want the divorce, it's my problem. Have you thought about getting a better paying job? I'm looking, but it's not easy. Have you thought about selling something? I don't have anything of value. Your car? I need it for work. Your engagement ring? She instinctively touched her hand. No, I hadn't thought of that. Lucy, if you really want to solve this problem, you explore all your options first. If, after trying everything, you still need help, we can talk. But will you help me? Possibly, but not like before. If I decide to help you, it will be a loan, not a gift. With a formal repayment plan. Are you going to charge me interest? No interest, but you will have to pay me back. What if I can't? Then you can't afford to borrow. It was a lesson I should have taught her decades ago, that money doesn't grow on trees and that favors have consequences. She left that day without any money, but with clear rules. She sold her ring 2 weeks later and got enough to pay part of the lawyer's retainer. She's paying for the rest with a part-time job on the weekends. For the first time in her life, Lucy is solving her own problems. And even though it's hard for her, she also seems more mature, more responsible. Sandra never came to apologize. In fact, she still just gives me a polite wave from a distance when we see each other at the grocery store. But that's not my problem anymore. Not all relationships can be fixed, and not all of them should be. The most beautiful part of this whole process has been rediscovering my relationship with Chloe. She comes to visit me twice a week now, not because she's told to, but because she wants to. We bake cookies, watch movies, talk about school. Last week, she said something that made me cry with happiness. Grandma, why were you always sad before, and now you're always happy? Was I sad before? Yeah. You always seemed like you had a lot on your mind, and now it seems like you only think about nice things. She was right. Before, my mind was a constant whirlwind of other people's worries. Now, I think about my garden, my next trip, the book I'm reading, the TV show I like. For the first time in decades, my thoughts are my own. This morning, as Chloe plays in my new patio and I finish writing my story, I realize I've learned the most important lesson of my life: that love for others cannot exist without self-love, and that teaching people how to respect you is the greatest gift you can give yourself and them. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever been through something similar? Do you know someone who is going through this situation? Let me know in the comments. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so this message can reach someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, the greatest kindness you can show is to teach others how to treat you right.